Part 1. Early Life. Charlie Kirk was born in 1993 in the state of Illinois, United States. He grew up in a normal American family. His father worked in architecture, and his mother took care of the home. From an early age, Charlie showed signs of leadership. He was curious, energetic, and always wanted to understand the world around him. At school, Charlie was not the best student in grades, but he was passionate about history and politics. He liked to ask questions and think about why societies rise and fall. While other students were focused only on sports or games, Charlie was often reading, discussing ideas, or listening carefully to older people. One important moment in his childhood happened when he joined a local church. There he began to understand more about God, faith, and community. These values became the foundation of his life. He saw that faith was not only personal, but also something that could inspire entire communities. By his teenage years, Charlie already had a strong desire to make a difference. He believed that even one voice, if courageous and clear, could impact many. Friends and teachers noticed his ability to speak with passion and confidence, even at a young age. This early period of his life was simple, but it shaped the future man. Charlie Kirk was learning discipline, faith, and the power of words, seeds that would later grow into a voice heard by millions. Part 2. Discovering his voice. As Charlie Kirk grew older, he started to look for a clear purpose in life. During high school, he noticed that many young people were confused about values and direction. Some of them followed the crowd without thinking. Others felt empty and without hope. Charlie believed there must be a better way. In this period, he discovered a special gift, the power to speak and inspire. When Charlie talked, people listened. He had the ability to make complicated ideas simple and to give hope through his words. His speeches were not just about politics. They were about freedom, responsibility, and faith. At the age of 18, Charlie made a big decision. Instead of going to a traditional university, he chose to dedicate his life to building something new. With only a few dollars in his pocket and a lot of determination, he founded Turning Point USA in 2012. This organization had a clear goal: to inspire young people to love freedom, to think for themselves, and to believe in moral values. It was not easy in the beginning. Charlie faced challenges, doubts, and many people who did not believe in him. He traveled across the country, speaking in schools and universities, sometimes to small groups of students, sometimes to bigger crowds. Many nights he slept in cars or cheap hotels, just to continue his mission. But his energy and conviction were unstoppable. Step by step, people started to listen. Turning Point USA grew into a national movement, and Charlie Kirk became the face of a new generation of leaders. He had discovered his voice, and that voice was strong, fearless, and full of faith. Part 3. The message that echoed. Charlie Kirk's message was not only political, it was deeply personal. He believed that young people had the power to change the future, but only if they were strong in values. His words often repeated one clear idea: freedom is a gift, but responsibility keeps it alive. When he stood in front of students, Charlie did not speak with difficult academic language. Instead, he spoke with passion, using simple stories and strong examples. He connected freedom with daily life, showing that every choice we make matters. Young people felt he understood their struggles and dreams. Charlie also spoke often about faith. He reminded people that real freedom comes from God, and that a society without moral direction will soon lose its way. For many listeners, this was something new. Some had never heard a young leader talk about God with such confidence and clarity. His message began to echo far beyond the university halls. Videos of his speeches spread quickly online. Social media carried his words across states, cities, and even countries. What started as small talks to a few students now reached millions of people, and the impact was visible. Many young men and women wrote to him saying, "I changed my life because of your message." Others said they returned to church, or started reading the Bible, or reconnected with their families. For Charlie, these were the greatest victories. The message that began in a simple voice had now become a movement, and this movement was only getting louder. Part 4. Facing opposition. As Charlie Kirk's influence grew, Not everyone agreed with him. His strong words about faith, freedom, and responsibility made many people uncomfortable. Some critics said he was too direct. Others attacked him on television, newspapers, and social media. At universities, he often faced protests. Groups shouted against him, trying to stop his speeches. Sometimes the halls were full of noise and anger. But Charlie never lost his calm. He would stand at the microphone, wait for silence, and then speak with even more courage. These moments showed his true character. He believed that truth should never be silenced, even when it was unpopular. His response to opposition was not hate, but clarity. He would say, "If you disagree, let's talk. Let's debate. Let's search for truth together." The pressure was strong. Many young leaders might have given up. But for Charlie, opposition was proof that his message had power. He understood that when light shines, darkness tries to resist. And he was ready to continue shining. Even when facing attacks online, Charlie remained focused. He never let critics distract him from his mission. Instead, he used opposition as energy to speak louder, travel more, and inspire even more people. Through all this, Charlie Kirk showed that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to keep going in spite of it. His example taught young people that standing for truth always has a price, but it is a price worth paying. Part 5. A Life Cut Short. Charlie Kirk's journey was full of energy, passion, and hope. But sadly, his life ended too soon. In 2025, news spread across the world that Charlie had been assassinated. The shock was immediate. People could not believe it. A young man, only in his early 30s, full of life and dreams, was gone. For his family, friends, and followers, it was a moment of deep pain. Many asked, why him? Why so soon? The loss felt heavy, not only because he was young, but because his voice was still needed. His work was not finished. The funeral became more than just a farewell. It turned into a powerful demonstration of how many lives he had touched. Thousands gathered, both in person and online, to honor him. They remembered his courage, his faith, and his passion for truth. But even in death, Charlie's influence did not end. In fact, it grew stronger. His words, recorded in videos and speeches, began to spread even faster. People shared them on social media, sent them to friends, and quoted them in churches and schools. What was meant to silence him only amplified his message. The young man whose life was cut short became a symbol of courage and faith. His voice was gone from the earth, but his mission continued in the hearts of millions. Part 6. Legacy in Action. After Charlie Kirk's death, something unexpected happened. Instead of fading away, his message became louder. His social media accounts exploded with new followers. Millions of people started watching his old videos, sharing his speeches, and writing comments about how his words had touched their lives. Clips of Charlie speaking about faith, freedom, and responsibility went viral. People who had never listened to him before now discovered his message. Even in countries far away from the United States, his words were translated and shared. The movement he started was now global. Churches reported something unusual. New visitors arrived saying, "I heard Charlie's words, and they made me think about God again." Some who had left their faith returned. Others, who had never believed before, stepped into a church for the first time. Charlie's message also inspired action in schools and universities. Students began organizing small groups to discuss his ideas. They called these meetings study circles or freedom talks. What once depended on Charlie's presence now continued through the voices of many. His death, while tragic, became a seed. From that seed, new voices rose up. Young leaders, pastors, and activists said openly that they were motivated by Charlie's courage. His legacy was not only in words, it was alive in action. Through pain, hope was born. The voice of Charlie Kirk could no longer be silenced because now it lived in the hearts and actions of countless people. Part 7. A Spiritual Awakening. In the days following Charlie Kirk's death, something powerful began to happen. His words about faith, God, and the importance of living with values touched people in a deep way. Videos of his speeches spread faster than ever, and many who had never listened to him before were now paying attention. Some who once said, "I don't believe in God," began to reflect again. They watched Charlie's message, and something inside their hearts started to change. Testimonies began to appear online. People saying they visited a church because of his influence, or that they opened the Bible after hearing his voice. This movement was not only among those who already believed. Even people who disagreed with his political views admitted that his faith was real and inspiring. They saw that Charlie's strength did not come from power or money, but from his trust in God. That trust made others curious and hungry for something greater than themselves. Churches across the country noticed new visitors. Pastors shared that young people were saying, "I'm here today because Charlie Kirk's message showed me that life has meaning." Families were encouraged, friendships healed, and communities began to unite. Even though his life ended too soon, Charlie's words became a spark of revival. His voice planted seeds of faith that were already growing, even in the short time after his death. Part 8. From Political Voice to Spiritual Seed. Charlie Kirk first became known as a political voice. He spoke about freedom, responsibility, and the future of America. Many people followed him because of his clear and strong opinions on politics. But after his death, something deeper became clear. His life was not only about politics. Behind every speech, there was faith. Behind every debate, there was conviction that God gives purpose and direction. People started to see that Charlie's words were more than arguments for one side or another. They were seeds, spiritual seeds, that pointed people to God. He was not afraid to say that true freedom comes from faith. And now, after his death, those seeds are growing in many lives. Videos of Charlie are no longer watched only as political commentary. They are watched as testimonies of faith. His courage, his discipline, and his trust in God continue to inspire people who never even met him. Charlie's story shows us a powerful truth. One person can begin a political movement, but when faith is at the center, that movement becomes something eternal. His voice, once known mainly for politics, has now become a spiritual seed that continues to produce fruit. Part 9. Global Impact. Charlie Kirk's message did not stop at the borders of the United States. After his death, videos of his speeches began to travel far beyond his country. People in Latin America, Europe, and even Africa started to hear his voice through translations and subtitles. In Brazil, young people shared clips of Charlie speaking about faith and responsibility. In Europe, churches used his videos as examples of courage and conviction. In Africa, pastors showed his speeches to remind people that one voice can make a difference. Social media made this possible. Platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok became bridges to carry Charlie's message across oceans. What started in university halls in America was now being heard by people who lived thousands of kilometers away. The impact was not only cultural, it was spiritual. People in different languages said the same thing. His words give me hope. His courage makes me strong. His faith points me to God. Charlie Kirk had once dreamed of changing a generation in his own country. Now his influence was global. His life, though short, became a light that crossed borders and touched lives around the world. Part 10. A Living Legacy. Charlie Kirk's life was short, but his impact continues to grow. His voice, once heard in classrooms and auditoriums, now lives in millions of hearts. People who never met him still feel his influence every time they watch a video, read a quote, or share his story. His legacy is not only political, it is spiritual. He reminded the world that freedom without faith is empty, and that courage without truth is weak. Charlie showed that one person, with conviction and trust in God, can inspire a generation. Today, his name is spoken not only in America, but across the world. Students, pastors, families, and young leaders continue the mission he started. His life became a seed, and that seed keeps producing fruit. Charlie Kirk's voice is silent on earth, but it speaks louder than ever in the actions of those who were inspired by him. His story is a reminder that even one life, lived with purpose, can bless countless others. So as we remember Charlie Kirk, let us not only honor his past, but also continue his mission. Let us live with courage, stand for truth, and keep faith alive. This is the legacy of Charlie Kirk, a voice that will never die. If Charlie Kirk's story inspired you, take a moment to share your thoughts below. We'd love to hear how his life touched you. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. And if you found hope in his journey, give this video a like so others can find it too. Together, let's keep his legacy alive.